care who was here, me for me. I don't care.
Welcome back to the channel, to the Everything 7 channel. Right now, my mother is about to come up, so today we are about to do the, damn, what are we doing today? Oh, the story time on what happened in the hospital. Yeah, so we're gonna do the story time on what happened in the hospital, and my mother meets her grandson for the first time. So here we go. They should be coming up the steps any moment, although I told her not to come up yet. Yanni, she's in there changing baby boy. They probably like literally waiting by the steps. Let me see. Oh, her and my niece. I hear my niece. So my niece is the one who predicted that he was coming. She was the first one to tell us back in October sometime that baby boy was coming. And she was right. She said he was a girl at first, but she ended up changing her mind at the gender reveal. So she been on point. So here we go. I know they waiting. I know they patiently waiting at the door. They can come in now. We'll see y'all in a minute. What's up, Izzy? Take them shoes off. Take them shoes off. Hey, Ma.
Never. Don't have been in here making no jokes either, Andrew.
Jokes? I ain't making no jokes. What kind of jokes?
Yeah, you can call me shorts.
Nah, they're not. But they already came.
What you doing?
Huh? So this is my mother, y'all. This is her first time on the channel.
The moment the whole world has been waiting for. The grand chosen grandma. Here with one of the youngest princesses, daughters of Zion, to bless the child that has been brought forth among the nations, anointed under the holy
there you go. Let them know.
of Melchizedek.
Let them know.
So yeah, we're ready to.
He's like, yeah, that speech ready.
That's the child that has come forth.
She ain't playing no game. She had a whole. You told her that speech, Izzy? No. You gave her that speech? She made it up on her own?
None.
Yeah. All right, well. We'll be back in a minute, y'all. Hey, Jackie. That's funny.
No.
Ain't no battle of the grandmas today. Izzy?
Yes.
What you doing?
What? Is you still changing his diaper, Anthony? Come on.
I mean, he had on clothes now. You gotta put your clothes back on. Yeah.
He knows the holiness has arrived.
What the?
He's ready.
You rolling?
Yep.
Here we go, y'all.
Hey, Izzy.
Is he in there or y'all playing? Is he in there, Anthony? Because I know how y'all like to play.
No, he's
Okay.
He's there.
Where'd the sun go? Hold on one second.
Wait. How about I say, tell me when the...
Yanni, my baby better be in this basket.
We wouldn't play like this. Did you say basket?
This ain't no basket.
It's a car seat.
Can I get him?
Mm-hmm, you can go ahead.
Yeah, he's not basket.
Can't see his face yet, so I'm gonna have to edit some of that out. Excuse me, his face ain't in it. The moment he been waiting for, the moment you've been waiting for. What you do, baby?
Hit my arm.
Is what you over there smiling about? So look, I'm gonna let us soak this in, and story time on the way with what happened in the hospital. See y'all in a little bit, y'all. Oh. So by the time y'all see this video, y'all will have had the name reveal. And yes, this is baby bro.
But no. What time did I get out of that appointment? 12 something? 1, 2, 3, at least 3 hours. But
we love you, baby bro. All right, so see y'all in a little bit. Stop playing.
what's up, everyone? It's your girl Yanni,
And I'm told one.
and we are the
Everything 7.
family.
You feel me?
And today, well, it's a 2-part.
Yeah, it's
right?
a 2-part. Yeah.
Okay. So, first part.
Was my mother and Isabella meeting baby boy for the first time.
You can say his name.
I can say his
right?
name by now because by the time y'all see this, the other video. So they was kicking it with Golden. They was kicking it with baby. It sounds crazy saying it on camera. They was kicking it with baby Golden. Yeah.
Okay. So the second half is our experience at the hospital for labor and delivery.
Right.
Okay. So I guess I could tell my point of view and you can tell your point of view.
Yeah, I think your point of view is gonna sum it up. I'll just add my little 2 cents in.
Okay.
We're gonna start with 5:30 Sunday, the 20. The 20 what?
I don't know. 26 maybe?
Mm-hmm. You're gonna have to right. You're gonna have to take that with you.
Was it 26?
Huh?
Yeah, 26. The 26th?
Oh, okay, yeah. So the 26th. So, yeah, 5:30, July 26th is when it all starts.
That's the day that we went in for me to be induced, and that night, that was kind of a blur, actually.
Really?
Wait a second. That night, I know we got there.
Mm-hmm.
We got settled in and everything.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't start me on Pitocin that night.
No, that was the next day.
So that night, what did they gave me something that was supposed to soften my cervix and help me to begin to start to dilate, I guess. Right. So that's what they did that night, and that was supposed to stay in for 12 hours. So
she was having a lot of contractions
during that time.
The whole time.
Yes.
Leading up until the next day.
And when they ended up taking that out, wasn't I 4 centimeters dilated? I think that was when they took that out after the 12 hours.
Which was the next day?
Yeah.
Okay, so Saturday, 27th.
Yes. So 12 hours after them doing that, they took that out, and I think I was 4 centimeters dilated. I was having contractions pretty back to back by that point.
How rough were they at this particular point?
I feel like I need to see the videos to see. I was so out of it. I really
They were
don't.
rough because you made the decision to get the epidural around 1 o'clock.
Was it 1 o'clock?
Yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna have to help her with this because yeah, she was like going through it.
Yeah,
so she was going through it from, I would like to say from like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, Sunday on the 26th, that whole night, because she didn't get no sleep. I don't know how it's a blur when she didn't even sleep. Like,
that's probably why it's a blur. I didn't get to sleep.
She didn't get no sleep. The contractions were extremely bad for her. So.
I just remember they kept coming back to back, seemed like the whole time.
And then the next morning, before they checked that, before they took that out, her water broke. Her water broke around 11 something.
I actually lost my plug before that.
When
I first got up and went to the restroom, that happened. And then I think maybe, I don't even think it was an hour later, my water broke.
Right.
Yeah.
And so at this point, they was, telling us, all right, by 7 o'clock, it looks like around 7 o'clock,
Yeah, they was like, it's probably
like,
going to be like,
Bet.
We thought that we was gonna be having him that day around like 7, because everyone was like so sure that that was gonna be the case. Since my water had broke, they thought that everything was gonna start to move like so much more quick.
Right.
So
fast forward, just 4 hours in, you got the epidural. Cause I remember saying, baby, you only got a couple more hours, so 5 o'clock. So in between 12 and 5, it got even crazier for her. Like those contractions just got terrible.
Yeah.
So she was thugging it out from the whole night before, leading all the way up until pretty much 24 hours.
I remember saying,
24 hours, really?
yeah, I remember saying it was like
almost 24 hours.
I just remember when it was like, when I was like 9 or 10 hours in, I'm like, goodness, this is just 9 or 10 hours in. I need them to tell me something good, because this is gonna be a long road if not. But yeah, by that time, after my water broke, they did begin to get way worse, and the contractions were just starting to get out of hand. Like it was just like, I don't know, it just felt like someone was like, I don't even know how to describe it, like stabbing you or something. I don't know how it feels to be stabbed, so it's like I don't know, but
if that's the case, you
like
felt like she was getting stabbed, then that means that you felt like you was getting stabbed 4 times, at least like 4 or 5 times every 20 minutes. Like, so in between 20 minutes, 4 or 5 times she felt that way. So it was pretty bad. So around
they started coming like, because you was watching, because they were saying like once it get to once I had 5
and 10 minutes, 5 contractions in 10 minutes, back to back.
Yeah, then it would be, and I remember you saying it's at that point now.
Yeah. But
then they still was saying I still wasn't fully dilated.
Right. So at like 5 something, like no, before 5, she's like, you know, I can't do this. Pretty much like she had made the conscious decision. I'm doing this. I need to get an epidural, and I'm like, I'm supporting whatever you're doing. So let's, you know, if that's what you want to do.
And
but I did
not want to do it.
Right. And even though I was, you know, 100% supportive, at the same time, I didn't like be like, okay, boom, let's call the doctor right now. I still was, you know,
and I still
taking
tried
my
to hold
time
out
with it. Like, all right, you definitely, all right, you gonna do it, cool. But I'm laid back still to see if, you know, you're gonna be able to, you know, get through it without.
And I remember even after I said that, I still tried to like.
Yeah, you did.
I still tried to thug it, but.
So look, fast forward. She gets
they kept on. It was like they kept on telling me. At some point, it seemed like they was telling me it's not happening right now.
Yeah.
And then at that point, I'm like, well, then I need the epidural, because if I have like a lot more hours of this to go, I can't do it.
So look, she gets the epidural, and everything's fine. After that, like, it was a quick process.
I was able to sleep, finally.
Right. As y'all seen in one of the videos, like, everything was good.
I was finally able to sleep for a little while. I don't know how long.
Right. So that was around like 5. So 5, 6, 7, 8. So 7 come, and I remember like 7 o'clock hit, and like soon as like 7 hit, which is crazy, she started like to wake up with like a little bit of grunting and stuff. You know, I guess she was, I didn't know, but she was just starting to feel a little something. But I thought, you know, it was about to be that time, because they said around 7 something. So I'm like, all right, here we go.
I'm thinking, okay, well, if I'm at this point and I'm feeling it, then that's different. You know?
Right.
I didn't know that the epidural was apparently beginning to not work.
Right. So that's what was going on. Little did we know. So fast forward, 8 o'clock come, 8:15ish. I'm like, dang, where baby boy at? What's up? So then I think I want to say around 9 o'clock, it just like out of nowhere got worse again. It was almost as if she never got the epidural. And you could tell by how she was reacting. She was reacting the exact same way she was before she got the epidural. So,
and I feel like it was worse that time. Like, it felt worse. But it could have been because they were getting stronger. At that point, I was further along, further dilated. So I guess it just was, they were just becoming stronger. I couldn't. I was like, first of all, no one told me before that the button that was like across from me was what I was supposed to push to add more stuff into the whatever they had on your back for the epidural. No one told me that. So maybe if I had been doing that earlier on, it wouldn't have worn off all the way. I don't know, but no one told me about that button. I didn't know. I found out once it was like too late.
Right.
And they were trying to they kept trying to press and press and press, and
don't assume contact solution.
Only thing that was doing was making me feel like so out of it and drowsy, and so like I felt like, I don't know, I didn't like how I felt from them constantly pushing the button. So it got to the point where they was like, do you want me to push it again? And I'm like, no, don't, because it literally felt like that stuff could make your heart stop or something. I don't know.
So
it wasn't, I didn't like how it felt.
So it had got crazy all over again. So at this point, the nurses done came in and she's like, I'm not understanding, why you feeling it again. So they called the doctor. He comes in, he's checking around, and he's like, I don't have an explanation. I'm sorry, I don't have a legit explanation for this, because you shouldn't be feeling it right now, and this is really it's not common. So we got a couple options. Like, you can, continue to go on and, try to see what happens, or we can do it again. But doing it again is not, I can't guarantee you that you won't, that it's going to fix anything. Because number one, this is not something that is normal. People don't have to normally get 2 epidurals. So
that's what I meant to tell you also. From
that
his
is
doctor,
normal?
no. But from his doctor earlier, when I was like, I feel like me and her had the same story. She had to get the epidural twice.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But anyway.
So, long story short, she ended up getting the epidural twice.
Yeah. Which at first when they mentioned that, I was like, no, absolutely not. I'm not going through that twice. But it literally got to the point.
And I was like, hey, in my head, I'm like, for real? Like,
right.
Nah, baby, we got to figure this out.
And then I'm like, no, that's not optional. And then they started talking about not having him until the next day. And at that
fast
point,
forward is what happened.
Right. But then at that point, I was like, because you remember that she came in and she's like, I'm gonna be like, are we gonna have them before 12 or whatever? Like at that point, because we were sliding past 8 and 9, and I'm like, we're gonna have them before 12. And it's like, nah, I think it's gonna be after 12. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be tomorrow. And I'm like, okay, I can't deal with this pain for hours on top of hours on top of hours, because they kept on saying like, we'll come back and check in an hour or 2. And it's like, yeah, I can't. And then they come and check, and then they're like, yeah, but you're just not all the way there yet. So that being the case, and then being like, we're not all the way there yet, and me being in so much pain all over again, I literally, I don't know, I just felt like I couldn't hold on any, much longer. So I just was like, at some point I was like, I'm gonna have to get it again.
Yep.
And then I ended up, my bad. Oh no, you good. I ended up getting it again, and
this time it was crazy though, because the first time they had me in front of her, to like keep her bracing, and she had to have her head bent all the way down. There was a pillow in between us, so like I was the person in front of her. The second time, it was a nurse in there. So the nurse was doing that. So I was sitting in a position to where I could see everything that the doctor was doing. When I say that was, at that particular point, the craziest thing to witness, like him putting the needle in, him pulling fluids out, him putting fluids in, him taking this long wire type thing, putting it in, taking it out, and then I witnessed him do it, and he did it in another spot. The second one took like 3 times long.
I felt like it took a long time.
That's because he was I guess numbing you in multiple spots, because I watched him. It's not what he did the first time. I know that's not what he did the first time, because the first one got done like that. Like I said, this one took a lot longer. So, but to witness it from that perspective, like I literally was in my head looking like, if she says she don't want to have another kid after this, I completely understand. Wouldn't even blame you. Not at all. From what I was watching, I was like, nah, I wouldn't even blame
Yeah, I just know it felt like a long time, and then even after I got it, it just seemed like it took a long time to kick in that time. And it just, and I was sitting there thinking, like, if this does not kick in after going through that again, I was gonna be upset. But
so rewind real quick. After that first epidural, 20 minutes later, the nurses are in there, and then all of a sudden they started to like frantic a little bit, and they're like, "You got to turn over." So she had to turn over, like on all fours, and they was trying to figure something out.
They told me to turn to my other side.
Turn to your right side.
Yeah.
And then whatever they was trying to figure out, couldn't get it figured out. All right, turn to your left side.
Right.
Whatever they was trying to get figured out, couldn't get figured out. All right, we need you to get on all fours. And they was still like frantic a little bit, like not a lot. I don't want to make it over dramatic, but you could easily tell that they were nervous.
Like, we need more nurses in here.
Right. You could easily feel the energy in the room, and that something was clearly something was going on wrong. So very soon after that, whatever was going on wrong, which we know now, the heart rate started to drop a little bit. Not nothing crazy, just some at that particular moment. It went back to where it was supposed to be, and it was reading on the screen again. So they were good. So then fast forward again, she gets the second epidural. It happens again.
But it wasn't from the epidural though. It just so happened to seem like afterwards. I also had Pitocin going through my body, and apparently sometimes baby's heart rate drop in reaction to Pitocin. And they had it turned up to a certain amount at one point, and I guess once it got to that amount, and then on top of me getting the epidural, I don't know, I guess it was just too much. And then so it caused those problems that it caused, I believe. But anyway, it ended up happening again after it happened. Didn't it happen 3 times though?
Twice.
Just twice?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, it was. I was about to say it was.
Turn on your left side.
I was about to say it was the second time that they had me doing that, because they kept saying, "Baby's not like in this position. Let's try the other side." But I guess it wasn't too much. It wasn't nothing for them to freak out about. But they had me do something like that 3 times. But I guess the second time wasn't as bad. But so the second epidural, shortly after that, it all happened all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Except like the doctor came in this time and was like, were the nurses in there first, and did someone call her in there?
I think she just came in.
Oh, because they can read the monitor from outside.
Oh, yeah.
So they saw what was going on the screen outside. So as far as like the contractions, and then as far as the baby's heartbeat. So I guess she was watching the screen from outside, and they came inside and was like, okay, basically, like, we have to make a move.
Nope.
It's about safety.
Hold on. Oh, you just sped all the way up. I thought you were still after the second epidural part. Okay, so real quick. Yeah, but it was after that. So, like, all right, so that second epidural was around 9:30-ish, 10-ish. Okay. So, it's working for a little bit of time. And then right now, the main problem was she wasn't dilating enough. That was the biggest problem. She was dilating extremely slow.
But that don't even seem like...
No, I'm talking about the reason why they couldn't start the process to really do what they needed to do to fully induce you.
They had already started their process. That's what was making me dilate.
But there was other things that they could have done. Trust me, I was in there talking to the doctors and the nurses while you was going through all
They kept turning the Pitocin down, which is what makes but that's because he was reacting. His heart rate was dipping every time they turned it up.
But so they couldn't get started with what whatever the end process was in order to have baby boy. They couldn't get started until she was 10 centimeters dilated.
Which I was 9 centimeters when they last talked to me.
Right, but throughout that whole day, she was dilating extremely slow, like super slow.
No, not really. It started off fast. Which is why we ended up thinking that we was gonna have
but at that point, that's what the problem was. They came in there 4 or 5 times and said It's not going nowhere. It's not going nowhere.
Because of my cervix. They kept on saying
No.
you're dilating, but it's something with your cervix.
Yeah.
They kept saying.
That was towards the end, though. That was a little bit towards the end. They were saying, all right, well, she's getting closer with the dilating, but now there's still too much on the cervix that still needs to be removed. But no, I promise you, trust me, I had to physically witness it all.
I don't know. I just know
Right.
I went from 4 to 7 quick, and then
She was dilating
from
slow.
7 to 9.
She was dilating super
And
duper slow. That's why they kept coming in there, kept saying, okay, like, is she? No, not yet. She's still this. She's still this. Or no, nah. Or we're here now, but nah. So then eventually, around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock hit. She started going. You know, they still trying to figure it out. The nurse, there's one particular nurse. She was super nice, coming in trying to have Yanni. It was like around 10:30 to 11. Really, like around 11. The nurse came in and she's trying to help Yanni just get in different positions. She's like, we can figure it out. Like, we're about to do different things. To
And
get
after
this baby
that,
coming
that's
in.
when darn stuff started happening.
So she's doing different things. They had her legs jacked up at one particular point for X amount of time. That didn't work. They had her in this other position for a good little minute. That didn't work. And then eventually, you know, they coming in, they checking again. Right around this time, it's creeping up on 12. And then like right exactly at 12 o'clock, one of the doctors comes in the room, super frantic. And she's like, all right.
It didn't take them 48 minutes to do all they had to do in the delivery room.
In the delivery room.
Yeah.
Baby, I know what time this started. Trust me. Around, so look.
That didn't take 48 minutes though. So where did the other time come from?
It was a prepping process, baby. Like was happening. You were going through it, so it was taking time. Like, trust me. Like, we didn't start to leave and go to that place until like 12:10.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, you gotta let me finish saying what I'm saying.
Uh-huh.
So around like 12 o'clock on the dot, almost, like, she come in there. She's like, you can finish off for me.
She wasn't, because before she got in there, it was other nurses that was trying to like put me in positions
Right.
to, I guess, make his heart rate come up. They weren't saying like what the issue was,
Right.
but they just kept trying to put me in different positions. They didn't have to say what the issue was because we could hear his heart rate on the monitor.
See, I wasn't paying no
Because they
attention
keep that going. Well,
at
I know.
that particular point.
Yeah. I mean, I know because I had it right beside me, and you know the whole time I was listening
Right.
to it. So, yeah, they just was like putting me in different positions, and then they just kept on saying, okay, this isn't working, and then so the doctor came in, and then she's like, okay, so basically she's like, it's about saving the baby, so we gotta like make this quick.
We gotta go.
We gotta
go
do an
now.
emergency C-section.
Now.
Yeah.
So we left. It was like quick. They trying to rush her out. They hitting the door and hitting this, like trying to get her out. She finally get out in the hallway. They, you know, speed race to wherever they're about to perform the surgery, and you know they're telling me to follow them like that. You got to follow us, so I'm following them, and we finally get to these double doors, and all I see is like 10 to 15 different, you know, nurses and some doctors throwing on full body scrubs and stuff and running in there, and then they run her in there, and then they give me the same type of clothing. They give me the scrubs and stuff. So they said, put this on, but you got to stay out here for now. So I'm like, dang. So all of them are running and rushing in there, and I'm seeing other nurses and doctors coming in and rushing in there while I gotta sit outside and just stare at the door. So, I mean, throughout the whole day, period, before we got there, while we was there, prayers was always going up on our behalf and parents and siblings and family and friends' behalf, like off rip. So in that particular moment, it's crazy because if y'all watching this video, most of y'all have already seen the last one. And I had said in that video, from the things that had started to happen with her earlier in the day, I was like, the doctors was a little bit, the first time the heart rate dropped, I was like, they was a little nervous, but we weren't nervous. And I was like, I gotta keep my faith strong. And no matter what I hear nor see, I gotta keep my faith strong. And I looked at y'all and I was like, and y'all should too. Little did I know that literally we was about to get our faith was about to get tested on every level, and it kept going up. It kept getting more intense, and more intense until the very end, which was like the biggest thing that it could be. Boom, you're about to have emergency C-section. Blah, we gotta go right now. Blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I'm outside of the thing. I'm calm. I'm keeping. I'm staying level-headed.
I was calm.
He was calm through it all.
Yeah, I'm sure they probably was looking like, or they may have been thinking like, how is she not freaking out? Or I don't know.
We
I
can't
don't know
afford
if
to.
maybe
We gotta
people
stay right
don't
in our
freak
head.
out.
Right.
But yeah,
You gotta
all
stay
I was
right in our
doing
head.
was just thanking the Most High in advance.
Right.
And like while she was talking to me, trying to explain like the procedure and like why they have to do it and all of this other stuff, I'm just
all
like,
that.
yeah, she was talking to me, but I was thinking the Most High. I was really blocking her out. It always like a fake. It just seemed, yeah. It just seemed unreal. So
I felt like I was outside that door for, not felt like I was outside that door for at least 10 to 15 minutes. But you can imagine during that time, that feels like almost a lifetime. But like I said, I stayed.
And I kept on asking him, like, where's my husband?
So
and it was like, he's coming in, but we can't bring him in until we put this sheet up, which is the whatever they had.
And did all their prepping that they had to do, get all their tools, whatever they had to do. So I stayed calm. I was thanking the Most High. And, you know, I was blocking out any negative thoughts because, as you can imagine, something like, what's wrong, baby boy? There you go, making his debut again. So, as y'all can imagine, at that particular moment, a lot of people would have been freaking out, and rightfully so. But how we're built and how we're wired, like, we understand what's going on in this world physically, but most importantly, spiritually. So, we got to keep our minds intact no matter what. Like I had stated. So eventually,
wait, by the way, his heart rate had went from 144 to 50.
And it
wasn't coming back up.
Right.
Which is why they rushed me off like that anyway.
Right, which is a huge
because
drop.
They was thinking, that it's going to keep decelerating and it's not going back up. So that was
like a 66% drop.
Yeah.
So that's why it had got crazy out of nowhere. Like everything was cool, and then boom, out of nowhere, all this happened. So then eventually, all right, I'm out there, and then somebody finally comes out and it's like, okay, Dad, you ready? And I was like, yes. Get up, walk in there, and I just seen like all the people that was in there, and I just went straight to. It's like, okay, you can be right here. And I just went straight to wifey, and I'm just rubbing on him like, all right, we about to get through this. We got this. You know, we good. Blah, say blah, all that good stuff I was saying. I don't even know exactly else what I was saying.
I don't even know if I was even listening to what you were saying. It just
was like... And yeah, that was that. And then I just remember. I remember
feeling everything.
So look, I remember. I think I was in there maybe. I don't think it was long. I want to say 5 minutes before one of the doctors was like, okay, he's about to come. Do you want to look? So we couldn't see this whole time where we was at.
All I did was feel them pulling out what seemed like was everything in my inside.
So when they asked me, do I want to look? You know, it's about to be that time. So I stand up and I look over. And when I say, this was the craziest thing I ever seen in my life. So at this point, he's starting to come out. And his head is starting to come out. And they're pushing on her stomach. They're pushing down on her stomach while trying to pull him by his head and pull him out. And then his head had got stuck. When I say my baby came out like this, I'm fast forwarding it real quick. We can, you know, he and ha about it now, but my baby had a cone head. And if y'all watch us on TikTok, y'all know that just a few weeks back, I was
Y'all
joking around,
were
yeah,
participating.
with her mom. She was telling us how her brother, her uncle, came out with a cone head. And she was like, it looked just like this.
And you thought
literally,
you thought it was hilarious,
right? And I was supposed to not post it on TikTok, and I did. And I never I'm not the baby jokes type of guy. Like, that ain't me. Like, especially knowing that not even just especially knowing I had kids, I never really was the crack jokes on people type of guy. That just was never me. But let alone babies, like, you'll never catch me saying anything crazy about no baby, because one, it's just not cool. Two, I gotta have babies one day. Like, I ain't crazy. So that was the first time I participated. So that's funny, little fun fact. But anyway, so his head is stuck, and then they're still pushing him and making her. It's just crazy. So they're pushing,
making me not be able to breathe.
Right, and then when they finally get his head up out, it's like, all right, they got the head out, and now I'm like, whoa. And now they're trying to, get his shoulders out, slide his shoulders out. And it's like they're really literally pulling him out. And when they pulled him out, y'all, I should have passed out from what I seen. When I say, first off, he doesn't look nothing like how he looked when he came out. If I could describe him, he was a blue sumo wrestler baby with a cone head. If that's exactly how I describe it. He huge. He was so big. As soon as he came all the way out, that's all they said. Oh my gosh, he's so big.
I thought they was gonna tell me he was 10 pounds. Everybody was making it seem like he was huge.
He looked so
that's all they
freaking
kept
big.
saying.
It was ridiculous. And he was blue. He was blue. He didn't have no color yet. He was blue. And it was
probably because of his heart rate dropping,
right,
oxygen and
right.
everything.
It's probably all that. Everything that was going on. No water being in there. The water had broke 10, 11 hours prior to. So it could have been a combination of all of that. And then maybe how they even had to get him out. But so it was crazy because after they finally pulled him out and took him to the, over to the little station, and it's 3 different, nurses working on him and whatnot. I just remember looking at Yanni you did it. You got through this. You good, baby. Blah, 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 saying all this good stuff.
That I couldn't hear
right.
because they still doing stuff to me.
Yeah. So then I'm looking over at him, and literally I could see the life coming into him. He started to change from being blue to still pale. He still didn't have no color, but he started to be
like a thing of powder.
Right, but he started to have color and not be blue no more. That was crazy. So I literally was watching the life coming to him, and then when I actually seen the life coming into him, I was looking at him, and I was looking at Yanni. I was like, he's beautiful.
I do remember
and
that.
I just kept saying that. I just kept looking at
him.
Looking at him he's beautiful. Because I could actually see him now. Because I ain't gonna lie, he looked crazy when he first came out. But crazy. But it didn't take long at all for it started kicking in, and I was like, oh, I just kept saying, I'm like, he's beautiful, blah, 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 but that was crazy.
I was just done.
Yeah.
Just done. And then it just seemed like it took them 30 hours to stitch me up. They stitched the inside, and then they stitched the outside.
Mm-hmm.
And before that, they kept pushing on me, and I don't know. It just was terrible.
That was crazy. That was so look, it's crazy because prior to, we never really discussed, because, we don't know the future, but exactly how it was going to go, of course not. But if we could have explained how we thought it was going to go, this went the complete opposite. Literally. The opposite. It wasn't smooth. It wasn't quick. It wasn't, I ain't gonna say painless, because you giving birth, so you're gonna go through pain. The Most High told us that after Eve bit that apple.
Yeah.
Well, had Adam bite the apple, y'all gonna go through labor pains. That's the punishment on the women for the rest of humanity. But yeah, so it was crazy, y'all. So But at the end of it, all we could do was be grateful and happy. Like, all right, from my perspective, like it was amazing. Like I was able to leave with baby boy, and like, you know, and you know, they brought him back into the room with me. When I went to the room first, and then they brought him back in there, and I just was able to like soak all that up at that particular moment, and just talk to him and just love on him already. And I was telling him about his Uncle Darian already. Like, it was crazy. Like it was just crazy. But so for me, I was just, you know, grateful that they both were okay, because I haven't spoken on like the could have been, should have been, and I won't. But what I will say is it could have went completely different. The outcome could have been completely different. So at that point, I just was grateful for both of their lives, like tremendously. Super, super, super grateful. Super grateful. Now, with saying all of that, it was never a moment in my mind where I doubted the Most High's capabilities. So I never thought that it wasn't going to be okay. But it's just crazy to witness the process of how this birth had to happen. And most importantly, like I said, all the different levels of faith that got tested. Like, that was and we passed them all. But it's like when we passed one, it was another one waiting for us. That was more intense. Past that one, another one more intense, until that whole big thing. But at the end of it, we just so happy. Baby boy is healthy. You're healthy. He's so beautiful.
I wasn't freaking out at any point. As soon as she said you gotta have an emergency section, we gotta get the baby, I'm just like, let's go.
She took it like a G.
Let's go.
When I say superwoman, that's why I say
get
like,
my baby out safe.
Look, I have a whole nother appreciation for women in general. Like, y'all the realest. I gotta give it up to y'all. Y'all the realest.
Yep. Cause
we can't do that.
I think the Most High knew that. That's why
he
told
me. Like, nah. We all pass out. As soon as they would say you're pregnant. No.
And then so I know like a lot of people question is gonna be and has already been like, would I want another kid? Just like based off of how that turned out. But yeah, I think obviously, yeah, I still want more. Not obviously, 'cause I could have not wanted any more, but I still want more kids. Yeah. Now I was thinking, if I had to keep getting C-sections, then I don't know how I would feel about that. But because of where they cut you now, apparently you don't have to continue to get it after your first one. So yeah, I definitely want more kids. And I just pray I wouldn't have to be induced again. Because if I have to get induced, I feel like I would feel like it's gonna go the same way. C-section wise. But who knows?
Who knows?
But anyway, this video was super duper long.
Yeah, this is gonna be pretty much the longest video we've ever put out. And if you got to the end, you are the trillest.
But we couldn't not. I mean, it's like hard to. It was long. It was days. Basically, almost 3 days.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was long. So there's really no way to sum it up more than we did. But yeah, that's it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was our labor and delivery, guys.
Right.
So we literally couldn't even record how we wanted to, how we planned on our labor and delivery.
Yeah.
Could not happen.
That's why it was parts to it. That's why it was parts to it 1 and 2. That's still how it ended the way that it ended, because we didn't get to, you know, have him in the room and he be put to the side and we all be in there and just all like, nah,
at a time like that, you don't even. I didn't know where my phone was for hours. I didn't care. Like, at a time like that, it's just you're in that moment, and that's that. You're not worried about calling nobody, texting nobody, doing nothing on your phone. You're not worried about it. So, I'm about to have to wash him.
All right, that's our cue. He's saying that it's time to cut this video, so we're gonna catch y'all next time.
Yeah.
Until then,
we are the Everything 7 family.
And we love
you
y'all.
guys. Don't forget to like,
subscribe,
comment,
and share. We out of here. Gotta go.